Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classics/Non-Classic. This is episode 49, and you know what I review. So, in this episode, I'm reviewing X-Men, Age of Apocalypse Prelude. Really thick book. Look at this book. Basically, this book collects X Factor, issues 108 to 109, and Kenny X-Men, 319 to 321. X-Men, this is from the series is now known as X-Men Legacy, issues 38 to 41, Cable at number 20, this is from the first line, the second one, and Age of Apocalypse as Can Edition. And the writers who write the issues are, if I can get the right page, you have Fabian Nicieza, John Francis Moore, Todd DeGango, Scott Lobdell, Mark Waid, and Jeff Loeb. And despite the fact this book sets up the events of Age of Apocalypse. This is also some of the events of this particular book that happened in here was partially adapted into the two-parter, which is similar to Age of Apocalypse in the X-Men series. Now, in this book, simply, it's a collection of this guy. This is Legion, otherwise known as David Heller. He's the son of Charles Xavier. And he's the starting. He actually starts. He's the one who starts Age of Apocalypse and Age of X. Excuse me. Now, basically, before you read this book, you gotta read the Phoenix Covenant, the otherwise known as the Origin of Generation X. If you read that book, you kind of understand exactly what's going on in this book. They make a mention of it in the first issue of the book. Mainly, X-Men 30, which is the first issue of the book, it's just a prelude. But mainly this book is also collecting issues that are part of the mini crossover event that sets up Age of Apocalypse, Legion Quest, which just simply begins with Legion waking up from a coma. This is after he had killed the character known as Destiny, who was Mystique's longtime lover. Well, commonly referred to as her life partner. Yes. Despite the fact she was an old lady at the time. Yes. And it also confirmed, not long after her death, that Mystique and Destiny were in fact a couple. But that was prior to this. Those of you familiar with the title, names like Scott Lobdell and Fabian Nicieza, Fabian Nicieza is also known for writing Red Robin, and Scott Lobdell with the recent Teen Titans series being canceled, they just got canceled, and it's ending next month. I don't want to spoil too much happened in this book, but basically, this book, a lot of stuff basically happens in this book, and then the book ends. Well, at the end of this book, it has the preview for covers that basically in the Age of Apocalypse Can Edition. Yeah, it basically has like the burning of the Stan Lee era of the X-Men on the cover. And basically, because Xavier died, yes, Xavier died. Those of you who know about the Age of Apocalypse, this is the starting point. If you want to read complete Age of Apocalypse, epic, before you read that book series, read this book first. But before you read this book, read the Phoenix Covenant, because I mentioned that in here. And plus, the X-Men are wearing the Jim Lee era costumes, which everybody loves these costumes. But if you notice, Magneto on this cover is wearing the costume he wears in the events of Age of Apocalypse. That's because when Xavier was killed, he took up Xavier's dream and formed the X-Men. Well, not immediately afterwards, but that's pretty much what happened. But you have a few issues that basically set up Legion Quest, and then you have a bunch of issues that deal with it, and then you have the X-Men time traveling back in time that tried to stop Legion what he was doing. He was originally planning to kill Magneto, but he ended up accidentally killing his own father, basically erasing his own existence inadvertently, and basically erasing almost nearly 40 years of X-Men, nearly 30 years of X-Men history, basically rewritten. Basically, I get this book a 5 out of 5. Basically, it's got fantastic artwork in here. You can't judge the artwork in this book. Despite the fact it's the 90s, The X-Men books, with the exception of X-Force, which is not collected in this book, the artwork in here is very good. If you understand the art style like this, here's a sample of the artwork here. Now, Bishop does appear in this book, like he does in the X-Men cartoon, but he does play a part in here, and this is one of those many different crossovers that happened for the X-Men from like 1990 to about 1986, because after 1986, the X-Men basically slowed down on the crossovers, because this basically was crossover heavy throughout the 90s. And because of what happened in here, all the X books were put on hiatus. Every last one of them. I believe, let's see. It says here in the back, Amazing X-Men becomes the Amazing X-Men, and Kenny X-Men becomes Astonishing X-Men Volume 1. Of course, Amazing X-Men is now an ongoing series. Wolverine becomes Weapon X. Cable becomes X-Men, but after Age of Apocalypse, X-Men becomes an ongoing series. X-Force becomes Gambit and the X-Turtles. X-Factor becomes Factor X. Excalibur becomes Excalibur. Generation X becomes Generation X. And then the X-Men Limited series becomes X-Men Chronicles for a couple issues, and then goes back to the X-Men Unlimited. But pretty much all the series that are tied to this had 4 issues. So basically, the X-Men franchise was put on hiatus for 4 months because of this event. And plus, it did also have one original miniseries. It had 2 original miniseries. One was X-Men Universe. The other was Blink, which later on the line, they introduced the mainstream version of her, and she's last seen with Wolverine and the X-Men. But this is a very good book if you want to get a chance to get this 90s books. But I would not start here if you want to jump onto the X-Men. I would go far back into the 60s. If you read all the issues that predate this, the issues that come out in this book, you have a pretty good understanding exactly what happens in this book. I mean, even though it's not mentioned, but you gotta read X-Men history. Now, if you want to read a good X-Men book, this is a good book to start with. Okay? Alright? That's it for episode 49. Stay tuned for episode 50. That's right, episode 50, where next book is actually a request from one of the people who actually commented on one of the videos. Okay? See you in the next video. Bye.